Yes, sir. What's going on, y'all, man? Welcome back to the pod, man. Welcome back to the truth with Najeh Wilkins. Hope everybody's having a great Thanksgiving, man. Had to do the show today. I was supposed to do it yesterday. Got tied up with fam, so I didn't do a show. But I'm doing one today, man. I know I'm probably gonna get a lot of viewers, man. But we gotta break down college football, man. It's a big week. It's rivalry week, so I could not miss the show this week. All right, and tomorrow I'm not gonna have time because I'm gonna be at the Georgia Tech game, as y'all all know. So I won't have time to do this show tomorrow. So we're gonna do it today. We chilling at the crib, hanging out, man, having a good time, just relaxing. So why not talk some ball, man? Talk some sports. So let's go ahead and get into it, man. We'll start with obviously our winners and losers from this past week. We'll get into the matchups, of course, and then we'll conclude with some Heisman candidates, man. But as always, when y'all watch this show, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, man. And like I said, the subscribe button is free, man. All you gotta do is hit that little bell notification, man. Subscribe, and you're good to go, man. You're good to rock. But let's go ahead and get into it. All right. So when we talk about the biggest winners and losers of obviously this past week, hold on, y'all. Make sure I got mine right. So for me, biggest loser, obviously, of course, I'm going to go with um, hold on, my notes, USC, right? And the reason I go with USC is because you had a golden opportunity on the road against Oregon. You win that game, you likely get a playoff spot, humbly, and then you kind of you muddy it up a little bit because then Oregon has two losses now. Y'all still have only, I believe at that time it had been one loss in Big Ten play. So you in a good spot if you were obviously USC. You know what I'm saying? So you in a good spot, do anything, but they come up short, couldn't necessarily get the stops defensively. Dante Moore had a big game. All that stuff played obviously a factor in them winning that contest, right? So USC would obviously be from this past week my biggest loss or biggest loser, right? Next loser is Georgia Tech. Golden opportunity for yourselves at home. I mean, when I say that crowd was raucous, y'all, that crowd was raucous, man. I haven't seen anything like it. I've been to a good amount of college football games, and that atmosphere was next level. Like it was top tier. Like you don't necessarily see that all the time, man. So, got to give credit what credit is due, man. Great environment. And Tech had so many chances in that game, right? You go down 28-0, right? Come back 28-14. You have all the momentum. Your defense gets a stop. Then boom, you go down the field. Haynes King throws a pick six. It's 35-14, right? You're in a tough spot. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, you're in a tough spot. And then you still was able to come back and make it interesting down the stretch, 35-28. But then you couldn't get necessarily stops that you needed. 56-yard touchdown run by Ja'Carrion Turner pretty much effectively ended the game. So if you take great resolve, but couldn't quite win, you win the game, you win the ACC championship. Things look good for you. You want to come up, right? You have a chance to potentially get an automatic bid at a playoff spot. Now you got to hope for some things to happen to even get into an ACC championship game, which obviously makes it tough for you. So it'll be interesting to see this upcoming week. They play Georgia. They're going to be doubted. Obviously, we'll talk about that later here in the show. But definitely a big week coming up for Georgia Tech and to see obviously what they can do. So that is my two biggest losers from this past week, USC, Georgia Tech, unfortunately. Now, when we talk about obviously biggest winners from this past week, definitely Notre Dame. Notre Dame ended up winning. They ran roughshod over Syracuse, 70-7. Big victory for them. You know what I'm saying? They did what they were supposed to do in that one. I think most points they've had in quite a long time. I don't know the specific statistic, but I mean, they made Syracuse run out the gym. You know what I'm saying? So they've been doing their thing this year. Really good football team. I like what Marcus Freeman's been doing. They can run the ball with Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love. Pretty good passing attack with CJ Carr, Malachi Fields, Jordan Faison. Got good pieces on the defensive end as well. Um, Good football team. Good football team, man. So they definitely was one of obviously the biggest winners I think this week. Didn't really move up too much, but there was a big winner. Oregon would be another one, big win. Obviously defeating your rival USC. We know about that in the Pac-12 days. How big of a rivalry obviously that was. So that was a huge rivalry for them too. Um, so those two going neck and neck, those two going head to head, winning, having a big game. You moved up, right? You moved past Ole Miss, who had a bye week this past week. You know what I'm saying? So that was obviously massive for them as well. So they moved up, right? Georgia, you handle business against Charlotte 49ers, UNC. You do your thing, you obviously win that football game. So big win for obviously Georgia as well to continue to move up, obviously in the rankings. And then you got to go Pittsburgh. That was a big win on the road for Pittsburgh. They're back in it. They're ranked. And it helps the ACC out a little bit. They got 5 teams in the CFP rankings. So that obviously helped them out a ton. Big win for Pittsburgh. Good rebound as well. When obviously some of them favor Pittsburgh, but big win for them on the road to still be in the standings and only have one loss, one ACC loss all year. The other losses came to other opponents. So big win for Pittsburgh obviously helps them moving forward, man. So those were my biggest winners and my biggest losers from this past weekend, man. But let's go ahead and get into some of the matchups. And you know what? We're gonna start with obviously the big one. One sec, y'all. All right, sorry about that, y'all. I had to clear out my nose. Forgive me for that. But yeah, y'all, we're gonna start with the nitty gritty, man. It's rivalry week. I think it's one of the best weekends in college football, in my humble opinion. And it's a big game at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, man. So we're gonna start with that one, and we're gonna break that all down. Give me one second as I pull this up. All right, so let's talk about it, man. Georgia Tech versus Georgia. It's a massive game for both teams, right? Georgia, you in a good spot, 10-1. Even if you lose this game, you Georgia, you still in a good spot because then you'd be 10-2 in the year. You know what I'm saying? You only got one loss in the SEC. If you Georgia, you've done what you're supposed to do this year. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the regular season and make a playoff spot, in my humble opinion. But the onus is on Georgia Tech. Because I didn't think they was going to be ranked after that loss to Pittsburgh. I thought they was going to pull them from the rankings. But the fact that they still ranked says a lot. So if you Georgia Tech, we'll talk about them real quick. Everything's on the line, right? You could do a lot by yourself. Right now, a lot has to happen for you to get to an ACC championship game. You need like Pitt to beat Miami. You need Wake Forest to beat, obviously, their opponent, Duke. You need NC State to beat UNC. You need stuff to happen if you're Georgia Tech to get an ACC championship. But what you can do for yourself is you can raise a debate. 2 losses. You lost to obviously Pittsburgh, NC State, but then you go and you beat a top 4 team in Georgia. You know what I'm saying? That's going to do a lot for you. And mind you, this is a game that you struggled in besides last year. Last year, y'all gave it to Georgia. You surely should have won. You was up 17-6. If it wasn't that for that Dan Jackson fumble, Georgia Tech wins that game in my humble opinion because it was going down to score again. It would have been like 24-6 late in the third quarter. That would have been ball game. Game, set, match. But that changed the game, right? 8 overtimes, 44-42 loss, right? That's on your mind, right? They've been dominating this series. Georgia has won the last 7 matchups. Georgia Tech has not won since 28-27 in 2016. That's the year I graduated high school. Okay? Just to throw that out there. That was nearly almost, next year will be 10 years. If you Georgia Tech, so how do you handle that, right? How do you handle a loss? I think this bodes well for Georgia Tech. And the reason I say this bodes well for Georgia Tech is because, think about it, y'all. Everybody is going to count you out. Everybody's going to favor Georgia. We can even look at the odds of this game, right? 13.5-point favorite for the Dogs. You're only given a 13% chance to win by the analytics. Ain't nobody in hell thinks that Georgia Tech's going to win this game, right? Now, I am one of the select few. I believe in the Yellow Jackets. I believe they're going to come out on top. And here's my proof, right? I did my article, obviously, the past few days, and obviously did staff predictions. And this is what I have. I have Georgia Tech winning 31-21 over Georgia. I think this would be a good game. I know a lot of people don't think that Georgia Tech can stop Georgia's offense, but I believe in the Yellow Jackets. I think they showed some things in that second half of that game that the defense can make plays, right? They can get stops. But the key is getting pressure on Gunnar Stockton, right? Now, he's a good quarterback, right? He's been having a phenomenal season for them. He's 3rd in QBR in the nation right now. He's a tough guy to stop. You know what I'm saying? And he just wins them games. You go look at his Ole Miss game, 4 touchdowns. You go look at his Texas game, I think 3+ touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. You go look at his Alabama game. Like every game you've looked at him, he's performed. Tennessee's another one. Like that was a game on the road, struggling. Not him necessarily, but the defense struggling, giving up a lot of points. Whatever Georgia has needed this year, Gunnar Stockton has performed. So in order to rattle him, and it's going to be tough to rattle that guy because he's good, you got to get pressure. You need Braden Manley to play well. But I think Georgia Tech unlocks something in that game against Pittsburgh. Now, it depends on if Coach Eubanks, Coach Gideon is going to use it. But they can play Cayman Spalding in that box, right? Now, it's tough because you're going to have to guard against tight ends, right? You're going to guard against Oscar Delp, right? You're going to have to guard against Lawson Lucky, right? Um, Georgia has a plethora of tight ends they can get the ball to, and they can cook you. They's that good. They can cook you. So how do you need athletic linebackers? You need really good defensive backs, right? You need really good players that can kind of shadow them and be okay one on one. Easier said than done, but if you can have that, let Cayman Spalding, who's your most athletic linebacker, who balled last game, 6 tackles, 5 solos, 2 TFLs, 2 sacks, and I think he had a forced fumble. If you can let him play in the box, that's going to help, kind of eradicate that running game for Georgia, right? Because the running game is good. You look at Nate Frazier this year, he has 700 yards rushing. He's been doing his thing. You look at Chauncey Bowens, he's a great compliment to him. They're a great 1-2 punch, obviously. Two really good running backs, and they got another bell cow to get the ball to. So Georgia wants to run the football, but they've been so good through the air this year. They can do a bunch of different things. Like I said, Gunnar Stockton, go Zachariah Branch. Zachariah Branch is having a great year, over 700 yards, I think, receiving this year as well. He's been a go-to guy. And then at that point, it's spread out for them, right? So the key for you, if you Georgia Tech, is getting that pressure, making Gunnar Stockton uncomfortable, right? And you're going to need like a Braden Manley. You're going to need a Cayman Spalding, who I think you should play more in this game because of the physicality, the athleticism that he has, right? So play him more towards the box, bring that pressure and make it tough for him. You know what I'm saying? And try to shut down the running game. That's where I would go first. Now, Gunnar Stockton can beat you with his arm. He's not a quarterback that's frigid at all. But if you can do that, rattle him more, get more pressure on the quarterback, it helps your cornerbacks, right? You have one of the best cover corners, in my opinion, in the ACC when you look at Amari Harvey. He's one of the best corners, right? Look at completion rate. You look at passes against him. Like, he does a really good job. Toby's on the other side with a mix of Rodney, Shelley. They rotate. And you got Kelvin Hill, obviously, on the inside. Lost Jai Gilmore, which is crucial. But you got the pieces you need in order to defend, right? But the key is the pressure. You got to create pressure because sometimes if they can run the ball well in this game, it's going to be a long day for Georgia Tech because they can throttle you down, they can make it tough for you, and they can really beat you against your will. Georgia's one of them teams. That's what Georgia Tech tries to do to teams. Georgia does the same thing. It's no different in the Kirby Smart era. They're a physical team. So in order to kind of throw Georgia off, is you got to be able to stop their run and create pressure, right? It's not an easy thing to do because this team is very resilient. You can have a 15, 20-point lead. They're going to keep coming back and swinging. But the key, y'all, is to create that pressure. Have Cayman Spalding in there, playing more minutes, and the linebackers have to tackle him. He cannot get to the second level. If Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens are going and getting to the second level, it's going to be a long damn night. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a long night. So you got to be able to tackle, and the penetration has to come from the D-line, right? I'm looking at, obviously, Jordan Vandenberg, who had a great game against Pittsburgh, right? I'm looking at Matthew Alexander, right? Akilo Stone, Braden Manley, who I just talked about. If they play the freshman Andre Fuller, Amontre Bradford, AJ Hoffler, like these guys have to create penetration early on in the game. And again, easier said than done. You look at Dontrell Glover, you look at obviously the rotation of a Juan Gaston who's 6'8". Like, it's tough to create penetration against them. But they need it. They're going to need it in this game if they want to have a chance. So that's the game plan defensively. And they can't give up the big plays. But if you got the pressure, the secondary has shown they can cover pretty well and they can make it tough contested catches. You know what I'm saying? So that bows in your favor for Georgia Tech. Now, offensively, you have a defense that's improving in Georgia, right? So if you're Georgia Tech and you're the Yellow Jackets, right, what's the key? You got to establish a run. You have to. You can't be one-dimensional. Yes, you can hit big plays down the field, but you want to kind of get them on edge a little bit, right? Now, the key thing for Georgia Tech is you will be able to create a running game, in my opinion, in this one, right? They have to lean on Raylan Wilson more, right? Because CJ Allen is injured, right? He's not going to play in this game. That's their all-world linebacker. He's elite. If you can create a running game, you feel pretty good in this one, right? And you have to go to Malachi Hosey. I love Jamal Haynes, right? He's played okay this year, not compared to last year. Malachi Hosey's a little bit of a better burst. He's a little bit more physical. Let Hosey go in there, run the ball, and then you have Haynes come in and spell him, play big minutes, and then you have Haynes King, who leads you in rushing this year. 883 yards, I think 15 touchdowns. Leads the ACC in touchdowns, rushing touchdowns this year. Lean on Haynes King. If you do that, you feel pretty good if you Georgia Tech, right? But it starts with establishing Malachi Hosey, who's your best running back, early in this game, right? And then parlaying off that. And then when the shots are there on the offensive side of the ball, you got to hit them. You got to hit Eric Rivers. You seen last game that Isaiah Kenyon can make plays, contested plays. You're going to need a couple of those big time catches in this game if you're going to beat Georgia. All right, you have to move the sticks, and this offensive line has to execute. It cannot be a situation where KJ Bolden is blitzing off the edge, or it is Quintavious Johnson is blitzing off the edge, and then they're getting to Haynes King. You can't have it. You just can't have it. Because if he feels rattled, it's not going to bode well in your favor. He has to be comfortable about there being a survey. And if he can do that, Haynes King is very surgical, y'all. Say what you want. He's a very surgical quarterback. When he has time to throw that football, he gonna throw it and deliver that football. All right. But he needs time to throw. And that starts with having an effective running game. Right? So if Georgia Tech can do that, they have a chance in this game. All right. So that's gonna be the key, in my humble opinion, for them to come out on top. They have to establish the run. Lean into play action. Hit your weapons down the field. You got plenty of them. Malik Rutherford, Beatham. I see why they didn't play Harper. Harper didn't have his best game the last game. J.C. Byrne, do what you have to do. Because if you can establish that run, you can lean into that RPO game. Hit Beatham over there for those flat routes, right? You can hit Jamal Haynes on the flat routes, right? You can hit a Luke Harper if he's in the game, right? A Josh Beatham, whoever it may be, and that opens it up. But you have to throw different looks, which Buster Faulkner does a good job of. But those are the key. Defensively, create pressure, slow down the running game. Offensively, run the football, lean on play action. If they can do that, they can win this game. All right? Now, again, nobody's taking them. I'm probably one of the only analysts or writers or whatever that's taking Georgia Tech to win this game. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to be easy. But one thing about them Yellow Jackets, when their back is against the wall, when nobody thinks that they're going to win, when they're the underdog, they play super well. They did it last year. Right? Miami upset, beat them. Georgia had them on the rope, should have beat them. UNC a few years ago should have beat or ended up beating them in prime time. Florida State last year, week 1. Ain't nobody think Georgia Tech was going to win that. That was a top 10 win. Beat them. So Georgia Tech is known for doing this. The only part they haven't been known is when you're the favorite, winning that game. Right? Let them be an underdog. You know they want to get their get back against Georgia. You know they're tired of losing to this team. What better way to go out if you're Haynes King than beating your rival Georgia and ending the season 10-2? That goes a long way. And that not only establishes your legacy and forever in Georgia Tech lore, but it also establishes what this program has become. You can finally beat your rival Georgia. That is a big statement in the Brent Key era, and they have a chance to do that. A lot of people aren't going to take them, but I think Georgia Tech can do it. And if you get out to a lead, if you're Georgia Tech in this game against Georgia, do not let off the gas pedal. Do not. Put your foot on their neck and continue to run the football. Be aggressive. Take your shot plays. Don't turn over the football and lean on the ground game. And if you do that and you stay full throttle on Georgia the whole game, you'll come away with an upset win. And I'm telling y'all, if Georgia Tech throttles Georgia, it's gonna help them out a lot against the committee. Say what you want. 10-2 Georgia Tech, beating Georgia. If they beat them by a lot of points, that's going to help them. Again, nobody thinking they're going to get in. But them being ranked number 23 says a lot. I'm telling y'all. That says a lot that they're ranked number 23. So watch out for that. That's going to be massive for them moving forward. And if they win that game, and let's say they win by 2 touchdowns, don't be surprised if they move up in the rank as a top 15 team. I'm telling y'all. I'm trying to give y'all the game right now. They do that. Look the hell out. All right? As y'all know, I would be at that game. That's why I did such an in-depth preview and breakdown. Like I said, my score prediction was 31-21. I had the Yellow Jackets coming out. I know I'm one of the only select few to have them winning this game, but that is what I'm rolling with. Okay? All right. Let's keep rolling, y'all. All right. Next game we're going to look at. Let's see. All right. Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Let's get to the game. All right. Big one right here, y'all. All right. And love this. Now, 100%, this is the best rivalry in sports, especially for college football. I think referee. Okay, come on, man. I got people watching. What's going on, Wi-Fi? Come on. Tighten up. Tighten up. Okay, there we go. All right. Big game. All right. Best rivalry in sports. I don't care nobody. Best rivalry in sports, man. Ohio State, Michigan. It don't get much better than this, man. It don't matter what your ranking is. Either team can win. I love it. I love it, man. This is going to be a hell of a game. Michigan dealing with some injuries. No Rob Moore, fifth-year senior, two-time captain. He's likely out for this game. Likely out for the season if they make the CFP playoff. But what's the stakes? What's on the line? If you Michigan, if you win this football game, you're in the CFP. You don't even have to make a Big Ten championship, bro. You will get back to a CFP. I'm telling you. You're on the outside looking in with 2 losses. You only have one. You would be 8-1 in the Big Ten. 8-1. You're getting in. You beat the number 1 team in the country. You're in, right? But it comes down to, if you're Michigan, can you run the football, right? Justice Haynes, we know he's been obviously doing this year. He's been a lead back for you. But you also have, I believe this is Jordan Marshall. He's been playing really well. So obviously Haynes been banged up. But you got a nice 1-2 combo, right? You got Marshall having a pretty good year, 800 yards rushing so far this year, 10 plus touchdowns. We know you're really good when you run the ball. But you gotta know, when you're playing Ohio State, they're gonna try to take away that run. That's what they're gonna do. So can Bryce Underwood, as a true freshman, make enough plays? Can your receivers like Marsh and some of those guys on the outside make enough plays against those DBs of Ohio State? That I'm not sure about, y'all. That kind of worries me if I'm Michigan in this game, because you know Ohio State's gonna get up to slow down your running attack. Can you hit those big plays down the field? That's what I'm a little bit worried about. And then with those injuries on the back end, are you able to do what you need to do to come out on top? A little worrisome for me if I'm Michigan. You know what I'm saying? But if you handle your business, you can run the football. Bryce Underwood has shown that he can be a threat with his arm, and things like that. You have a chance to win this game. You know what I'm saying? And it's at your hometown. It's at your spot. They got to come to Ann Arbor. You went on the road last year. You had no business winning the game, and you beat them. You know what I'm saying? So you're more than capable of doing it. And like I said, it's a lot on the line. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot on the line for them. Now, Julian Sand is an elite quarterback. So you got to lean on guys like Moore to get to him. 9.5 sacks this year. Easier said than done, man. Because Julian Sand at one point in this season, 80% completion percentage. He's not a guy that makes a lot of mistakes. He's not a guy that, he can force a ball in the tight window, but he's going to take what you give him. This is what Julian Sand is. This is what he's going to do. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got to credit him. Like, a lot of people don't give him his credit. No Cardinal Tate the past 3 games. No Jeremiah Smith, I think, the past 2 games. Now, both are expected to play. Both have obviously been practicing this week in preparation for this game on Saturday on Fox, right? So, massive game, right? With having those 2 weapons back, I think that helps Julian Sand even more. And, I think the chemistry he's built with some of the backups as well has helped him out a lot. So that bodes well. And then you have a thumper in Bo Jackson, who's young, who's playing at a high level right now, right? So it's a massive game. You know what I'm saying? Ohio State, you clinch your spot into obviously the Big Ten championship game. You probably end up being the number 1 overall team unless you lose in the Big Ten championship game. But this is a team you struggle with. This is a team that's had your number. This is a team that you can't quite overcome, even despite being the number 1 team in the country. That's what makes this rivalry so great. It don't matter who's number 1, who's number 10, who's number 5, who's number 20. It's always a great game. So, big one for this one. Ohio State should win, but Michigan has showed us it doesn't matter. It does not matter at all. It don't matter. Michigan's going to play at a high level, and they're going to make it tough. So, if you're Ohio State, you got to be cognizant of that. I would get the ball to Jeremiah Smith early and often in the game. When your shots is there, hit your shots, and you got to establish a running game. Easier said than done. But can you imagine how Ann Arbor would go crazy if Bryce Underwood is a true freshman leads into a victory over their rival Ohio State again? His first time doing it, but then winning again against Ohio State? Oh, man. Michigan would be crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, if you're Ohio State, handle your business. You got studs. You got Sonny Styles. You got Caleb Downs. You can rush the passer. You know what I'm saying? You got pieces all over the place. But it starts with beating your rival. Easier said than done, but they should be able to do it. So I'm going Ohio State this year, respectfully, to Michigan. I like them. Good football team. But I don't think they're going to have enough. So I'm going Ohio State. I'm going to go 27-24. Close game. I think Michigan makes it another tough one. I think Julian Sand leads them down for a game-winning drive. So I'm going with the Buckeyes and this one to come out on top. There y'all have it. I don't know why, y'all. Forgive me, man. Nose is stopped up. All right, let's hit this next one. Okay, we're going to go to ACC now. All right, here we go, y'all. All right, hold on. It's buffering again. Y'all forgive me. Come on. Got people watching. Let's go. Here we go. All right. All right, y'all. Big game. Big game. All right. Miami, Pittsburgh. This thing's still buffering. Come on. All right, forgive me for the buffer, y'all. I don't know why it's doing that, but big game. Miami, Pittsburgh. All right. Two really good teams in the ACC, right? Pittsburgh, like I said, big win last week over Georgia Tech on the road, right? And you showed even without Desmond Reed playing, who will find out the availability report later tonight at 8 p.m. if he's going to play. Ja'Carrion Turner, who's your true freshman, showed you that he can carry that rock. 200 yards on the ground last game. Now he's going to play a way better defense than the Miami Hurricanes, obviously, of course, led by Bryce Fitzgerald, obviously led by Ruben Bain, Messendor, and so many more, right? Um, and it's another big game at home if you Pittsburgh, right? You've had these games multiple times at home, right? You could potentially punch your ticket and knock out Miami for even a chance to get into the ACC title game, which their chances are pretty slim, regardless of the situation. But can you handle a big game against an elite opponent? No disrespect to Georgia Tech, great team, but I think Miami's an elite team. Now, what it starts with is you know how good the ground game is with Mark Fletcher, right? But we've seen Beck has been susceptible to a lot of turnovers, right? He's had his good games, but as you guys can see, 9 interceptions this year. 9, right? He had, I think, 4 or 5 against Louisville, right? 2 against SMU, right? He's prone to turnovers, right? He's prone to turnovers. So how do you avoid that if you're Miami? If you're Miami, let's be on their side of things, run the football, right? Leno, Fletcher, and those guys in the running game in order to kind of establish the tempo. They hit them big shots down the field to CJ Daniels, Malachi Tony, and do what you need to do, right? That's going to be key, obviously, for the Hurricanes in this game. You know what I'm saying? And getting out to a good start. That kid, Heisman, can play, and he don't really turn over as much as you think. I know you're gonna look at the 6 interceptions and be like, oh, this kid, he turns over football. Nah, he really takes what the defense gives him. Okay, so when you look at them, Pitt makes it really easy because they got weapons on the outside, right? You got Ja'Carrion Turner. We talked about him. Desmond Reed when he comes back, he plays a little bit of everything. Kenny Johnson's a top receiver in the ACC in my opinion, right? They got pieces in order to make noise, and then their defense is so physical, right? I feel like their defense matches that physicality of a Hurricanes defense, right? With Kyle Lewis, you look at Rasheem Biles, who's an outstanding player for them as well, and obviously Scott. They got players, man, all over the field. So if you're Miami, how do I stop Pittsburgh? Well, the key is you got to get pressure on Heisman, which I believe you can do with Messendor and obviously Ruben Bay. Make him feel uncomfortable. You see what Notre Dame did. Notre Dame had the pieces defensively, right, in the secondary order to make stops, right? And then they pounded the ground game as Miami can do the same thing, and it made it tough for them, right? Made them play, obviously, in that box. So if you're Miami, that would be the game plan for me in order to kind of come out with a win. If you Pittsburgh, Miami has shown that they can be a little susceptible, right? So if you Pittsburgh, establish tempo a little bit, right? Play a little high tempo against the Hurricanes. Try to tire them out. It's cold weather. They're away from Miami. It's going to be cold in Pittsburgh. Lean on the ground game as well. Hopefully get Desmond Reed back. Hit those big plays down the field. And you got an athletic defense. So how you deal with Georgia Tech? You battered and bruised Haynes King. You're going to have to batter and bruise Carson back. How do you do that? Bring in blitzes, right? Throwing different shells out there, right? Making it tough for them all game long. That is what you're going to have to do if you want to have a chance in this game if you're Pittsburgh. And you got the defense to do it. You got the secondary to do it. You got the pieces to do it to make it a tough game, right? That's the key. If they can go early on, get 2 or 3 interceptions against Beck, it's going to be a long day for Miami. Miami's not going to win the game. But if I'm the Hurricanes, I'm not throwing the ball early. I'm trying to run the ball. You know what I'm saying? See what I can get there, and then throw some easy balls from Carson Beck to some of my receivers, some of my tight ends, and flank them out a little bit. That would be something I would do. But Pittsburgh has shown they can allow you to get back in games, right? That's the only problem with them. They can allow you to get back in games even if they have a lead. So it's going to be important for Miami to stay the course. If you have struggles early, stay the course in the game, making sure that you see, what they're doing, and then obviously lean on some of those big plays to get back in it. Because you're a quick fire offense, right? It don't take you too much to go down there and score, right? Malachi Tony, Daniels, Fletcher in the running game. They stay the course if you're Miami. Because sometimes Pittsburgh, I don't know what it is with them and Coach Narduzzi, but they'll play around a little bit with the fish and kind of like bait it out there. They'll throw it out there and then, okay, pull it away a little bit, pull it away a little bit, pull it away. That's kind of what they do. So if you can do that for Miami, you should be coming out on top. So I'm gonna go Hurricanes. I don't believe Pittsburgh's gonna be able to answer that really elite game they had against Georgia Tech and win at home. I think Miami's gonna be able to handle business, get the win this year. And I think with a 10-2, 6-2 record in the ACC, I think they're gonna find their way somehow, some way into the college football playoff rankings as a top 10 team. Believe me or not, I think that's what's gonna happen. So I'm going my Hurricanes. I'm gonna go 38-24 victory on the road against Pittsburgh. There you have it. All right, let's go to it. All right, big game right here. Now, this one kind of plays a factor into this game as well, even though they're ranked behind Miami. But massive game in the SEC between these two teams, and I want to break it down, right? All right, so massive game. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. All right. Okay, so why is this game massive, right? This game is massive because if you Vanderbilt, you are a team that's looking to get into the CFP, right? You've handled your business. 2 losses this year, obviously. You lost to Texas, you lost to Bama, right? So if you Vanderbilt, road game, we know about obviously all the talking that's went into this game prior to last year, wanting to beat your in-state rival. Last game for Diego Pavia, Heisman candidacy on the line. Clark Lee's done a really good job with the program. And right now they have it as a toss-up. 57% chance for Tennessee to win. Only 2.5 spread in this one as a favorite to Tennessee, right? Now, big game as I've said before, right? But what's the key? The key is Vanderbilt can throw a bunch of different looks offensively at you, right? Obviously, RPO game starts and stops with the Diego Pavia. 100%, y'all. That's where it starts and stops, right? Being able to obviously do that, hand the ball off, having him keep it, but then they can play that into obviously some passing situation with the best tight end in the game, and Eli Stowers, right? The best tight end in the country. So if you Tennessee, you struggle with that a little bit, but we know you got the pieces defensively to make plays, right? We know you got Joshua Josephs, right? We know you got Jackson Maw, right? We know you have Arian Carter, right? Obviously, you know about the secondary and the piece you got there with Colton Hood. So, the key for you if you Tennessee in this one is take care of the football, right? Joey Aguilar has shown flash this year, but the problem is he doesn't take care of the football. He has too many games where he has too many interceptions, right? He's an elite passer of the football. He just has to take care of the ball, right? Lean on Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas in this one to milk some of that clock. Both of those backs are elite. You got a dynamic 1-2 punch if you're the Tennessee Volunteers. Dynamic. The boys can play. You know what I'm saying? And then you got an elite trio of wide receivers that nobody talks about enough. Chris Bowser II, who I said earlier this week, got robbed, right? I'm not going to put him in the Biletnikoff Award finalist. That's crazy to me. He's had a phenomenal year for Tennessee. He's a deep threat. He can catch it on the middle of the field. He's a big play guy. In addition to a guy I think that should be in that finalist list, you have Mike Matthews and you have Braylon Staley. You got all the pieces you need if you're Tennessee. You got one of the top offenses in the country, right? But the key in this one is taking care of the football if you want to knock off Vanderbilt. If you can do that, I don't think their defense is going to stop you. We've seen them struggle against Alabama giving up points. We see them struggle against Texas. They made it interesting late in that Texas game, but struggled with giving up points. So they haven't really faced, and even if Texas, you go Texas. Texas has a pretty good offense, but it ain't to the level of Tennessee, right? Tennessee can just throw too much at you. And Tennessee has a legit running game, right? Texas, come on. Cochavian Wiser, we'll talk about that here in a little bit, but he has 400 yards rushing this year. They don't have a running game like how Tennessee does. Tennessee can hit you in a bunch of different ways. An elite offensive mind and Josh Heupel as well. So when you pair all that in, it feels like I'm leaning more towards Tennessee. You know what I'm saying? I think Tennessee wants to win this, and it's going to make an interesting debate because you have potentially a 9-3 Vanderbilt, a 9-3 Tennessee, 5-3 records in the SEC. Is that enough to get you in? Now everybody's talking about, Naj, we haven't seen a 9-2 team, 9-3 team get in. Yes, we have. Clemson last year got in. They were 9-3. We have seen it before. You know what I'm saying? So based off resume, based off win, it's going to be very interesting. Now, if you're Vanderbilt, you have to win because it's going to put you closer to getting to the playoff. I don't think they would get denied at 10-2. Right? Tennessee went 10-2 last year, got into the CFP playoff. I don't think Vanderbilt, with their schedule, who they've played with a 10-2 record, is going to get denied. I just don't see it. Humbly, I really don't see it. So if they handle business, Pavia has that Heisman moment. This is a great game to have that Heisman moment on the road. I think they get it. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna do that and award somebody that's at the top, of the Heisman finalists, I guess you could say. They're not gonna not reward them and get into a CFP playoff. But especially if they win this game. No. No way in hell. But I like Tennessee's offense too much, and I think they're gonna make it tough. You know what I'm saying? I don't think Vanderbilt has the horses to stop their offense. Now they got a quarterback that can stay with and make this game a shootout, which I think I kind of more towards leans towards. But I think Tennessee has too much offensive firepower for that Vanderbilt defense, and I think it's gonna make it tough. So with that being said, man, I'm going Tennessee. I'm gonna go 35-21. I'm gonna go Tennessee. I think they get enough stops in the end, and they pull a rabbit out, and they're able to win this game. So I'm going with the Volunteers in this one. Big win for them, 35-21. Let's keep it rolling. All right. Yeah, Vanderbilt, Tennessee. All right, let's do the other nitty gritty. This one right here. This is the nightcap. I'm actually excited for this one. All right, y'all. Massive game right here, man. Massive game, man. Texas and Texas A&M, man. I'm excited for this one. Hold on, my thing buffering again. Okay, we good? Are we good? Sorry, y'all. I know I had 3 of y'all watching, but the buffering be bad. I don't know why. We good? Okay, good. We good. All right, Texas A&M in Texas, right? Massive game for both teams, right? Let's talk about the implications for Texas, right? If you Texas, you win this game, bro. I think you have a good chance in order to make a CFP playoff, right? The key though is you have to get your offense to play at a higher level, right? That's the key, and you need a signature game from March Manning. If I'm 100% honest, you need a signature game from March Manning. It's you haven't got one of those yet. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has those moments like, you had the Joe Burrows, you've had the Jaden Daniels, Travis Hunters. Like, I'm not saying Arch is a Heisman candidate, he's not, but you need him to have a signature moment in this game. What better way than against your rival? If you Texas, you at home. Texas A&M has to come to your spot, your house. You know what I'm saying? That you've built in Austin, right? So you got to handle your business. You know what I'm saying? And what's tough for Texas is they have no, as I said earlier, and it's the Tennessee game, they have no semblance of a running game. 442 yards for Wiser this year. Just not going to cut it. That's what makes this team so tough. And for them to do things offensively. Sometimes you had the inaccuracy of Arch Manning. Sometimes you have drops from receivers. It's just the bottom line. Parker Livingstone, Ryan Wingo, DeAndre Moore, like, got to be better. What I do want to give credit, though, is Wingo has played a lot better here recently, right? He's been stepping up big for them, and he's emerged as a top receiver for them, which coming out as a 5-star prospect, he was supposed to be. He's emerging as that. Just has to be more consistent, has to put it fully together, right? So if you are Texas, you know your defense is elite, right? Gave up too many points in the last one out against Arkansas. 37 points ain't going to cut it. But for the most part, this defense is good. It's lit with weapons everywhere, right? You got a Michael Taft, a Grayson Littleton, right? A Colin Simmons, right? Anthony Hill Jr. You got the pieces you need in order to be special on defense, right? But what Texas has to do is offensively, you can't tire out your defense. You just can't tire out your defense, right? And it starts with making plays offensively, not getting off to a slow start, right? Not throwing interceptions early in the game, right? Being able to get off to a good start. Because if you can do that, I feel like you have the defense, not necessarily can shut down, but they can slow down this high profile attack of Texas A&M. But it starts with a good start for obviously um, the Longhorns. And then lead on your special teams. You got a great player in Baxter who returns punts, who's returned a plethora of punts this year and has turned into big plays, whether he scores a touchdown or he gets it deep into the opponent's territory. So you got the piece to help you flip the game on its head, right? That's going to be key for them in this game, right? But I think, one, you got to batter and bruise Marshall Reed. Marshall Reed, to me, is a Heisman candidate. Lean on Colin Simmons, bring some different pressures and looks, and make him feel uncomfortable. That's another key to this game if you Texas. Now for the Aggies. Great win last time out, right? Come back from 30-3. 30-3. Insane, bro. Insane. Gotta give credit where credit is due, man. 400 plus yards passing, multiple interceptions in the game, but Marshall Reed delivered and showed that no matter what adversity they facing, he's gonna be ready to go. You know what I'm saying? Now, at worst case, if you Texas A&M, you lose this game, you're still in the CFP. You clinch your spot. Excuse me. Worst case scenario, you've clinched it. Now, it might be muddier of getting to an SEC championship game, which will give you an automatic bid, but regardless of what happens in this game, you're in the CFP playoff. In my opinion, I don't think they will leave Texas A&M out, even if you got blown out. I don't think that would happen, and I don't think they're gonna get blown out. It's gonna be a close game, right? But it starts with Ruben Owens. He's been having a good year for you, right? He stepped in good with the injury to Le'Veon Moss, who's one of the best backs in the SEC before he kind of went down, right? 570 yards rushing. He's had a pretty good year this year, right? But if you Texas A&M, establishing that run game, right? Establish that run game. Ruben Owens, lean on your passing attack. You know what I'm saying? Lean on guys like a Casey Concepcion, right? Like a Mario Craver who's having a phenomenal year. Both of those the guys are absolute studs. And then you got tight ends that you get the ball to on the outside as well, right? So you text him, you got pieces. Defensively, Scooby Williams, Ratcliffe, like, you know what I'm saying? Cassius Howell. You got pieces all over. You know what I'm saying? If you text them, you got a pretty good secondary as well, right? So my concern though for Texas is, can you block a Cassius Howell? Can you not allow them to affect your quarterback and get him off his spot? Because the Aggies can do that with a defensive front. They can make you feel uncomfortable. They can put pressure on you, right? You're going to have a plan if you Texas for that. And you're going to have some kind of a running game if you don't want them to tee off on you. Because if not, Texas ain't one of them teams with all that talent they got, they going to tee off on you. So that's going to be crucial for Texas in this game, man. I like the Aggies. I think they're a natty contender. You know what I'm saying? I got to see it. If I was going to go with Texas, I have to see it first, man. You know, so I'm going to go with the Aggies in this one, man. I believe in Coach Elko, the adjustments they make. And this is a team that's a resilient bunch, and they're all bought in, which is very important. You got to have a team that's bought into what you're doing. This team is very bought in. And when you have that, it makes you a great opponent. And that victory a few weeks ago against South Carolina showed no matter what the stakes are, no matter what's going on in the game, the adversity, this team is going to be ready to play. They pitched a second half shutout in that game. When that defense wants to clamp down and lock down, that defense can clamp and lock down. Really good team, man. So I'm gonna go Aggies, man, until proven otherwise. I got to see it from Arch. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the signature moment from Arch Manning. I have not seen it yet. I need it. When I see it, then I can start picking Texas. Till I see it, nah. So I'm going Aggies, man, in this one. I'm going 31-24 victory for the Aggies on the road in Austin. Big time victory for them. All right. All right, let's keep rolling. All right. ABC Nightcap. Here we go. Now, obviously, coming into this game, Alabama, Auburn. Now, we've already seen that Auburn is not playing Deuce Knight. They've already said they're playing Ashton Daniels. He will miss this game clearly. Correct? Okay. So, coming into this game, it's always one that's tough, right? I get an eerie feeling in this one, though. My eerie feeling is I feel like Auburn's going to be able to make some noise, and I feel like Auburn's going to pull off an upset somehow, some way. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting that feeling in this game. You know what I'm saying? I like Alabama. I know about Jeremy Bernard. I know about Ryan Williams and Ty Simpson. It's having a Heisman candidate worthy season. But I get a funny feeling when I see this Auburn team play, and I think they really got a good defense and they got a good front seven that can get after you, man. So I think Auburn, they're gonna be able to run the ball with Jeremiah Cobb. He's having a really good year, and they can throw the ball. They got all the weapons in the world. You look at it, Eric Singleton Jr., Cam Coleman, Malcolm Simmons, excuse me, Perry Thompson. They got weapons all over the field. And defensive wise for Alabama, top 20 unit. We know about obviously LT Overton. We know about Dijon Lee, who's continuing to emerge as a defensive back for them. We know about Pierre as well, who can get after you and get after the passer. But the key in this one, I think Auburn can match that physicality. I really do. I think they can match that physicality. But the key is, can they make the winning plays on offense? We've seen this defense be in games. Missouri, in the game the whole time, right? Several games this year, Auburn has been in it. They just have not been able to put the plays together offensively. So that does concern me a little bit, but I got a funny feeling this game Auburn's going to be able to pull off an upset somehow, some way. I feel like they're going to pull off this upset. Then they're gonna get after Ty Simpson and make it tough for him, and they're gonna slow down that running game early and often. But the key is, can they secondary with a Jalen Crawford? Can they hold up against the Alabama receivers? Up and down year, you know what I'm saying, for Ryan Williams, but Jerry Bernard is the truth. He's been their best receiver this year. 1,000% best receiver this year. So it's going to be interesting to say the least what they do. If they can get those stops, if they can make those plays. But I'm going to lean on my intuition. I'm going to go the Auburn Tigers in this one over Alabama. Going with an upset in the Iron Bowl. I think Auburn's playing for more. They want to end the season strong. Not a great record in the SEC, 1-6. I think they make it interesting, man, and pull off a massive upset and beat Alabama, sends recruits crazy, and they land like 2 or 3 recruits just off that game alone and pulling off that victory at home against Alabama, man. So I'm going with the Tigers to pull off the upset. Close game, 27-24. All right, y'all. Next game, we're going to talk about Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Massive game for both teams, or really massive game for Ole Miss. Now they're in a tough spot because there's so much outside noise going on right now with Ole Miss, right? With Lane Kiffin, this rivalry and everything like that. It's a road game. Remember, Mississippi State had a 4-0 start to the season, struggled in SEC play. And it's a team that wants to get to bowl eligibility. That's what Mississippi State wants to do. And if you Ole Miss, I think my big question is going to be your response. How will you respond after just all this past 2 weeks of just Lane's going here, Lane Kiffin's family's being flown out to Florida, LSU? Like, how do you respond? And if Mississippi State goes and punches you in the mouth, like, will you be like, oh, well, you leaving anyway, dog? You know what I'm saying? Like that's my biggest problem and my biggest concern is how will the team respond? I don't know. I don't know. That's why I think this game too also has the makings of an upset because if they get hit in the mouth, how will Ole Miss respond to that? Right now, I told y'all a lot of Ole Miss fans. I said when y'all start training that Chambliss QB1, I told y'all what was gonna happen, right? And you're having the season that I told y'all what happened. 3 consecutive 10-win seasons under Lane Kiffin, and you have a spot to make a college football playoff. I told y'all. I told y'all he's better than Austin Simmons. None of y'all want to believe me. Y'all Ole Miss fans call me crazy. I told y'all. You know what I'm saying? Austin Simmons is not that guy. But what I love about Ole Miss, they have so many weapons, right? You look at obviously Chandler's having a good year. You got Keywan Lacey. He had a 200-yard rushing game this year. You look at your outside with Hilton Deuce Alexander, Caden Lee. They got pieces all over. And then Wallace the third is having his best season. They got so many people they can get the ball to that can cook you, literally cook you if you Ole Miss. But that's my biggest question. It's a good football team. They deserve to be in the CFP playoff. They got pieces all over the field. An improving defense. They give up big plays, but an improving defense. But that's the biggest thing. What is your response? Do you get up for this game? This is a rivalry. It's called the Egg Bowl for a reason. But do you get up for this game? Because if not, Mississippi State can beat you. They had Tennessee on the ropes earlier this year. You know what I'm saying? With Blake Shapen and what he's been doing this season, right? They can get after you. And they got a defensive front that can make it tough for you as well. And a secondary that they're waiting for you to loft that ball up in the air. And you go ahead and loft it. They're going to come down with it. You know what I'm saying? So you can't sleep on Mississippi State. I'm telling y'all, Mississippi State got a squad. They got a little crew. They have lost some games, some tough ones. But they're a team that can make plays consistently. So that's the biggest thing in this game, man. Just Ole Miss is the more talented team. Ole Miss is the better team. But how will you respond knowing your head coach? You don't know what he's going to do until after this game. Like, he's literally not announcing it until after the game is over. What's his next step? And it has to be on the minds of the back of the players, whether they want to admit it or not. That's on your mind as a player because you came to Ole Miss to play for Lane Kiffin. It's going to be very intriguing to see what they do, man. It's going to say a lot. Because I can see Mississippi State going down, first possession of the game, getting a big score, and then Ole Miss, okay, well, what are we going to do? And then struggle. You know what I'm saying? So we'll find out, man. This is a big game. I'm going to still ride with Ole Miss. Then they come out on top in this one. We're going 31-17, but It's a tough spot. When your head coach keeps being heard, it's a whole bunch of rumors around them. It's a whole bunch of reports and just consistent. Oh, is he going to go here? Is he going to go there? Is he going to go there? That's hard to concentrate on as a player, even in a rivalry game when you want to beat your in-state rival. A lot on the line for Ole Miss, man. Playoff spot on the line for Ole Miss. You win, you're in. And you even got to be in the SEC championship game. You win, you will make a CFP playoff. You lose, it's going to be interesting. And the committee's already said that they're going to play a factor in if they lose their head coach. Potentially, if they lose their head coach, that could affect their rankings as well in the standings. So it's a lot on the line for Ole Miss, man. But I'm going to go with them. I told y'all 31-17 win. All right, let's hit our next one. All right. This is an SEC game, again, similar to Georgia Tech. I love these games right at the end of the season. Clemson's already clinched that bowl eligibility, so they'll be playing in somebody's bowl. But a big game, for either team, right? You want to just get momentum going forward for your program, right? If you're South Carolina, you've already came out and said that you're sticking with Shane Beamer. He's going to be your coach in the next year. He's already came out and said, hey, we're going to be in these CFP rankings next year. This is supposed to be the year for you, right? Last year, you started off rough, finished season strong. You went 9-3. Felt like you deserved to be in. You didn't get in, right? This year's been tumultuous, right? You fired your offensive line coach. You fired, obviously, your offensive coordinator, Mike Shula. And I hate to say this, but for Shane Beamer, your job's on the line next year. I really believe that. Your job's on the line next year. So you got to get more out of the running game. Rajul Faison was supposed to come in and be that guy for you. But you haven't got enough from the run game. And in games you were supposed to win, you had teams on the ropes like Alabama, like some of these earlier games. Your quarterback turns over the football in inopportune situations, right? So if you're South Carolina, it's a lot on the line because you need to build the momentum you need towards the end of the season, and you got to get more talent around your quarterback, right? It's going to be a big offseason because a lot of people want Lenora Sellers. Say what you want. It hasn't been his most phenomenal season ever, but a lot of people want him, right? You're going to have Miami in there, maybe even LSU. Like, teams are going to be betting the house to try to land a prospect like a Lenore Sellers. And I think he's, like, been hurt and restrained a little bit, y'all, by not having an adequate coaching. Not necessarily from Beamer, but from the offensive coordinator, from the people in the room. So first things first, if you're Shane Beamer, as soon as this game is over, you know what I'm saying, if you don't, because you're not bowl eligible, you got to find an OC, somebody that can really amplify the talent of Lenore Sellers. That is crucial for you if you're a Shane Beamer moving forward, because you want him to feel comfortable and not have him leave. And then you got to get him more talent around him. Better running backs, better wide receivers that can catch the ball more consistently, make big plays, not once in a blue moon. That is what you're going to have to do, obviously, if you're South Carolina. And you got to try to retain your stars. Dylan Stewart, hopefully he doesn't try to hit the portal. He has one more year. Brian Thomas has been really good for you this year with his 7 sacks. You got to retain your talent as well. Fakari Swain was really good for you this past year. You need more athletes that can make more plays if you're South Carolina, and you have to be able to finish games. My bad. Also for South Carolina, you know the good team is in you. You had Texas A&M on the ropes, 30-3, and you somehow lose that game. So a lot on the line for South Carolina. You got to build something here, and you got to move in the right direction with a lot of offseason questions up in the air, right? Now, when it comes down to this matchup, obviously, if you're South Carolina, it's protecting the football. Protecting the football. If you can protect the football, I feel like you can come out on top and win this game. But you got to protect the football if you're the Gamecocks, right? If you have too many turnovers, Clemson's going to take advantage, right? And this is a disappointing year for them. They were supposed to be that team in the ACC this year. They were supposed to be the elite of the elite this year. They were supposed to make a CFP playoff. They're supposed to get to the Natty this year with all the talent they got NFL roster they have. Hasn't been the case. Excuse me, but they've been picking up steam here lately. Playing better football. We know Woodass has been playing really good. Sammy Brown leads them in tackles this year. He'll be back for another season next year. Adam Randall has stepped in as a converted wide receiver to running back and has played a big role for you. So this one I will lean more towards Clemson. I like the program. I know this was not a great year for them. But I think a lot of learning lessons in this one moving forward. You're going to have to replace your quarterback, Cade Klubnik, likely. So you'll have to have a new quarterback at the helm, but you got pieces all over, man. Brian Wesco will have one more year. You know about TJ Moore, who's having a good year for you. So you've always had pieces. Now next year is just capitalizing on that. And the expectations, I think, next year will be down just a little bit compared to this past year, man. But for Clemson, run the rock with Adam Randall. Hit those big plays down the field like you have all year long with TJ Moore. Antonio Williams if you can, and you should be able to win this one. Your defense is better than theirs. You should be able to get after Lenore Sellers and make it tough, and it should be a big time SEC win for you. So I'm going with the Clemson Tigers, who should finish 7-5 to finish the year. Tigers should come out on top. All right, so continuing with rivalry week, we're gonna continue to hit some ACC games, man. Another massive one. This one right here, Wake Forest going up against Duke. Wake Forest has quietly had a good year. Remember, they was picked to finish at the bottom of the ACC this year. What hurt them is just some of the ACC losses, right? If they could have got more wins, definitely would have helped them out. But they've had a great year. Obviously lost to NC State, Georgia Tech, and then Florida State was an ugly loss. But some really good wins, right? You beat Virginia. You didn't have your best passing effort in that one, on 64 passing yards, but somehow, some way you was able to figure out and come out with the win, right? So if you Wake Forest, you got the team to do it, right? Robbie Ashford's had an okay season, but he's made the plays. Damon Claiborne has been one of the better running backs in the ACC this year. So that's obviously going to be crucial. Transfer, let's see. Good. All right, here we go. All right. So, and you know about Christopher Barnes. Christopher Barnes has been having a really good season as well, right? So, you got the pieces to make some noise. And if you Wake Forest, your defense has been playing pretty well, right? They've been in games. They've limited teams, so you have a pretty underrated defense that makes plays. Hard is your best pass rusher. Anderson's been making plays in the running game a lot. Highly rated defensive back for you this year. You got the pieces if you Wake Forest in this game. But the difference is in your defense, you're going to be against an elite passer, right? And Darian Minton, formerly of Tulane, who's having a really good year in the ACC. Expect him to be back next year. He can make the plays down the field. You look at Cooper Bacard. They got tight ends everywhere. So this is a really good Duke football team. You know what I'm saying? Now, they've lost some games. They're 6-5, which ain't a great record. They should have beat UConn. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't an opponent they should have lost to. But if you are if you're Duke, you want to finish the season strong. You got a really good quarterback coming back now, surrounding him with the weapons moving forward. But the key in this game, Wake Forest, can you block the defensive front? Vincent Anthony Jr. is having a really good year, 6.5 sacks. They have a strong defensive front, a two-headed monster on the edges. Can you block that enough? Can you help open up gaps for Damon Claiborne to run through? It's going to be kind of crucial in this game when you break it all down, right? And then when you have to throw it, Ashford's not the best thrower of the football. Can you block Anthony Jr. and not allow him to disrupt and affect the game? Those are going to be some massive questions in this one to kind of come out with. If you Wake Forest, you want to come out with a win. If you're Duke, you got to establish more of the running game more with Nate Shepard. True freshman running back, pretty good for you. If you can establish a little bit more of the run, it aids in the passing. It allows Darian Minton to hit big plays down the field to Picard, big plays down the field to the tight end, right? And if you Duke, you want to play with a lead in this game. Because if you play with a lead, then your defense, they can pin their ears back and go get after Ashford, who's been more privy and prone to turnovers. So if you Duke, get out to an early start. You know what I'm saying? Lean on the ground game with Shepard. Hit them big plays down the field with your obviously all your weapons. And then defensively, get after them with your front four, and be able to make plays. If you can do that, if you do, you should be able to come out on top. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's going to be a tough one, man. I think Wake Forest is better than people give them credit for. So I'm going with the Demon Deacons. I got the Deeks beating Duke. I'm going to go a lower scoring game. I'm going to go 2014. I think it'll be a lower scoring defensive battle, but Wake Forest pulls it out, comes out with the win. All right, another big game, man. All right, let's go to this one. All right, another one I'm very excited about. All right. Trying to make sure I don't buffer. All right, there we go. There we good. All right, cool. All right, so Virginia Tech versus Virginia, right? Another big game, right? Because the Hokies has had Virginia's number, right? Hokies have won, I think, eight of the last 9 in this matchup. So they've had Virginia's number, and then it's in a resurgence this year for obviously the Cavaliers, right? And why do I say resurgence? Because Nobody expected Virginia to be this good in the ACC this year, right? They weren't picked as one of the top teams. No way, no how. A lot of it was Louisville. A lot of it was Clemson. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it was Miami. Those were your big three. Nobody thought Virginia was going to have this year. They haven't. You have everything out in front of you, Virginia. You're number 18 right now. If you can win this game, you punch your ticket to the ACC championship game, you are in, right? If you're Virginia, that's what you want. You want to get in, right? And then in this one, it's a little tough because Virginia is dealing with an injury. He's out for the season, Cam Robinson. So that's obviously tough for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's going to be a big loss for you. You're going to have to lean on some different pieces to step up for you at the linebacker role and position. But you got Devin Neal, who's one of the best safeties in the ACC, right? Top rated guy. I think he's got like an 84, 85 grade per PFF defensively. So he's a guy that's been really good. And Riker is your leading sack getter, so he can get out the quarterback. But the key to this game, we'll go for Virginia Tech, is containing that run, stopping that run. If you are the Hokies or if you are the Who's, the Cavaliers, you can stop that running game. It does a lot for you. Now, obviously, you know about Marcellus Hawkins. He's having a good year, but Drones also had 609 yards this year and like leads them with, I think, 9 touchdowns. So they can peel you off and then they can hit them plays down the field, right? Or they can peel you off in RPO game with Drones and he can scamper for big long runs. Virginia Tech has shown they can put teams on the ropes. Louisville, we seen early this year when they played them, they had them on the ropes early in the first half. We seen the massive win over California, 42-34. So they could pull off these wins, and especially with this rivalry, different things you got going on. You know what I'm saying? That helps and that bows into your favor. You know what I'm saying? If you are Virginia. So that's going to be something to kind of think about. Getting pressure on the quarterback, leaning on Riker. But what I do like about this game is Virginia has an elite defense. It don't get talked about enough, but their defense is elite from top to bottom, from the linebacker position, from their safeties. They don't allow a lot of points, right? Go to the Duke game, held them boys down. Darian missed a bit, didn't even complete over 50% of his passes, or barely over 50% of his passes, right? The loss against Wake Forest, they gave up 64 passing yards, right? They had 3 turnovers. They gave up 6 points off 3 turnovers. This is a really elite defense, right? So I do like Virginia Tech and want to roll with them, but I think Virginia is just too good. You look at the offensive side of the ball, great get out of the portal, from North Texas, and Chandler Morris, who's had a pretty competent year. He's played well, had 2 touchdowns, 2 turnovers in the game against Duke. Has to play a little better, but Jamari Taylor is the key there for Virginia, right? 917 yards rushing, second in the ACC. Also has a lot of touchdowns, 13 touchdowns this year as well. He can do a little bit of everything. Very, very, very good running back for the Who's, right? So I like what he can do. And your receiving core has gotten better and better, playing at a high level. Trail Harris, right here, leads them obviously in receiving, 766 yards and 5 touchdowns. Then you have Jamal Edgerrin. He's been playing really well as well for the Virginia. They got a lot of pieces on that offensive side of the ball. So I think with the elite defense that Virginia has, the offensive balance, the balanced offensive attack that they have also, I think it's going to be tough for Virginia Tech, man. Good pieces, recruiting at a high level, some good players on the outside, but I think it's going to be too much to beat them. And I think Virginia, at Scott Stadium, a lot of recruits in attendance, punches their ticket to the ACC championship game. So I'm going with Virginia in this one. I don't think they make it close. I'm going to go 28-10. Big win for Virginia over the Hokies. All right. Let's keep going. All right. Next, we're going to go with Oregon. All right. Oregon versus Washington, right? Massive game for both teams. We know how good of an offense that Oregon has. Top unit, over 450 plus yards per game. They can run it and they can throw it. That's what makes these boys so potent. They can do a little bit of everything, which makes them obviously a very dominant football program and a very dominant football team. You look at the job that Dan Lanning has done, and you have to commend him, right? This team always plays at a high level defensively. They get after you. With obviously the linebackers and the ability to rush the passer. We know about Decorian Moore on the outside. He's been playing well this year. Sadiq has stepped in when he's been injured and has been a go-to weapon on offense for Dante Moore, especially in that red zone. So a big game. Washington is underrated, even at 8-3. This one's going to be tougher than people think. Damon Williams is a really good quarterback, really good cornerstone piece for the Huskies moving forward. He could do a lot of different things. You got Coleman, Is a really good running back and rushing for them, 14 touchdowns and almost 700 yards rushing. So when it comes down to the games that Washington has lost, they've struggled offensively. The games they lost, the quarterback has turned over the football. And this one, Rockets environment crowd. Washington, I think, is gonna make this a game. I still got Oregon coming out on top, but I think Washington gonna make this a game. They're gonna make it tough for the Ducks on the road. But if you Oregon, you want to avoid all that, start off with a really good first drive, run the ball with Whittington, run the ball with Dante Moore, lean on your ground game in order to kind of set up those big plays as you've done all year long. And your defense with Tua Toye, and also, some of those defensive linemen should be able to get out to Damon Williams and make him feel uncomfortable. Hasn't played in a lot of big games this year, unfortunately. I mean, they have had some big ones, Michigan and things like that. But I think as he gets more under his belt, he'll play better and get better. But it's gonna be a tough game, man. Washington's a really good football team. They lead in several key categories this year, and they definitely make it tough on you, man. So don't sleep on Washington. Downfield passing attack is just not turnover football, protecting the ball. Is going to be key for Washington. But I'm going to go with Oregon. I think they're rolling this one 31. No, we do 34-24 win over the Huskies. They make it tough early on, but Oregon eventually pulls away. So I'm going with the Ducks. All right. Did that one. We got this one. In-state rivalry with Arizona State and Arizona. Big kick on Fox, right? So surprisingly, yeah, Arizona State is still ranked at 8-3 this year. They're the number 20 team right now in the country. Arizona just got ranked. Obviously, they're having an underrated season. Noah Fafita has been playing pretty well for them. 25 touchdowns, only 5 picks so far this year. Hudson has been the leading guy in receiving so far this year. The key in this one, though, Arizona State no longer has Sam Leavitt. He is out. So they have a backup quarterback. He ended up getting injured. And I believe Tyson's been dealing with injuries. Jordan Tyson, who became a top receiver, has been dealing with injuries all season long, man. So they're going to have to lean on Raleek Brown. Raleek Brown's going to be obviously the guy to know, obviously there for them. But yeah, as I was saying with Arizona State, you see he hasn't played since Houston. So they have a totally different quarterback at the helm, which is why they haven't been as good. And obviously there's been rumblings and rumors around him that he could obviously hit the portal. So massive game, man, for them. But Arizona State's won some big games. I like Kenny Dillingham as a head coach. Yeah, I'm buffering bad. I see it. But yeah, I like Kenny Dillingham as a coach. I think he does a awesome job with his team. They've really created a unique environment at Arizona State, right? One that at Temp, Arizona, that nobody can really duplicate, right? It's tough for Arizona State to win this game, though. They got to run the ball. That's just the bottom line. They got to run the ball with Malik Brown. Got to be a lean on him in the run game, and then have that open up for big plays, obviously down the field. That's going to be massive and crucial for them. So that's one there that I'm looking at for them. But I don't believe in their backup quarterback. I don't believe in their backup quarterback. I don't think he has enough to get it done. In my humble opinion, I've seen him struggle in obviously quite a few games this year, and they're going to have to figure that out if you're Arizona State, replacing the quarterback, especially moving forward if Sam Leavitt does indeed leave. But yeah, the backup quarterback is Jeff Sims, and he's a journeyman. He's been to Georgia State. He's been all over, I think, Nebraska at one point in the game. But if you're Arizona State, you've handled business. You won three consecutive games. You beat Iowa State, West Virginia, and Colorado. So, I don't know if a win gets you into a CFP, but you would finish out your Big 12 campaign with 9 games, a 7-2 record, which isn't too bad with Texas Tech in that conference and also BYU. But I think only 2 teams would be taken from that conference, unfortunately, in the CFP playoff. But a lot on the line for them. If you Arizona, finish the season 6-3 in the conference play, 9-3 record overall. Noah Fafita has been really good this season. And obviously, you've continued to lean on your prolific passing attack to lead your program in the Wildcats. So, big game for them as they try to get back into a kind of just that relevance being a top program. So, I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go upset. I'm gonna go Arizona State Arizona on the road. over Arizona State. I think without having him, Jeff Sims has played okay so far. I like Fafita as a quarterback. He hasn't been talked about nearly enough this year. So for that, I lean on Arizona, excuse me. So hard. I keep saying Arizona State. I lean on Arizona in this one to win 31-23 over the Sun Devils. All right, last Big 12 matchup we're going to get before we get our group of five and get up out of here. Where's that Baylor? All right, this one right here on TNT, man. Baylor in Houston. Houston was ranked at one point. They didn't get ranked, obviously. This past week after suffering another loss. We know about their program. Let me see if Connor Wickman actually played. Okay, yeah, he did. I heard he was dealing with the injury. But yeah, if you Houston, you've been right there. You know what I'm saying this year. You've been right there. You've been in and out of the rankings a little bit. Some tough losses this year. Tough loss to TCU that likely ended your chances of even getting in there. But you look at Baylor. Baylor has, and I see why Sawyer Robinson was ranked so high. That is a little turnover prone, unfortunately. But a guy that can really sling that football and it hits all of his guys, in stride and does what he's supposed to do. So this is a team, if you Houston, you don't want to get in a shootout with them, right? You don't want to get in a shootout with them. They can make it tough for you. And they got weapons all over the field. Running back wise, what I'm saying, they got one of the most underrated guys, Bryson Washington, only a sophomore this year. Has played pretty well. Last year had over 1,000 yards rushing. Following suit in that, obviously, as well. And if you Baylor, you want to get a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? You want to be able to finish your year strong and get bowl eligible. And you do that by going and winning this game over Houston, who's obviously one of the better teams in the Big 12 this year. So it's a big game. Connor Wiggins obviously had a solid season for Houston. Obviously, the defense can play at a high level. You look at Connors is hitting the way he's rushing the football, but Wigman throwing it out to Thomas. You know what I'm saying? They have a really good team. Amari Thomas has been playing pretty well so far in his career. He's been doing his thing. He's improved every single season. He's already surpassed his numbers from last year. So what it's going to come down to, honestly, y'all, Houston being able to stop that prolific attack of Baylor, the ability to throw the ball with Sawyer Robinson, ability to hit big plays down the field, and then if they get in the shootout, do they have enough offense with Connor Wigman and Connors in order to make plays and keep them in it? That's going to be obviously crucial in this game. Two really high-scoring, powered attacks. I expect a shootout. I'm going to go upset, though. Upset win for Baylor, 44-41 over Houston. All right, last game of the day. Right here. I see it right here. All right, last game. We got to do group of five. I know I like to stay obviously pat with that, man, but big game between these two. Navy versus obviously Memphis. Two really good teams in the American, two teams that had a chance to get into the American Championship. Obviously they've been struggling, ever since. Memphis has been, losing a couple of critical games. Navy only lost a couple. One obviously in conference play lost to Notre Dame as well. But the key in this game, can you stop Blake Horvath? It's similar to what Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt has over there. Do you have enough to slow down Horvath for 4 quarters? I don't know if you Memphis. Memphis has struggled giving up big points. We know they have obviously the running game in order to make it tough for you. We know they got the pieces in order to make it obviously a really good game. But do you have enough to slow him down for 4 quarters? He's a battering ram. Obviously, that senior quarterback do a little bit of everything for you. Special player, and they got pieces they can hit on the outside as well. They've evolved their offense, not just running the ball all the time. They can run it obviously well, but they can also throw the football down the field and make big plays, as well. So the key in this one, if you're Memphis, is making it tough, right? Making it tough for Navy, being able to make big plays, slowing down Horvath defensively, leaning on Brasham Jr. in the passing game. Lewis looks like he's finally healthy or getting healthier, so that should help you in the passing game when you lean on him and Smith running the ball. Two really good teams. Obviously vying for a position in American, who's likely to be obviously Tulane in North Texas. But yeah, the key in this one is trying to stop Horvath. Horvath's having a phenomenal year. What he's been able to do, and this is an underrated linebacker for Memphis this year, man. Senior out of Mississippi, Sam Brumfield leads them in sacks, leads them in tackles, virtuoso. He's had 80 tackles every year, having a career like year for the Tigers. So that's going to be key for them in slowing him down is Rumfeld, and obviously that defensive front and being disciplined the entire time. But like I said, a little bit of a struggle here recently for Memphis, who was right there, lost two of their last three games, right? Two consecutive. You know what I'm saying? Lost to Tulane 38-32 and then lost to East Carolina on the road. So those really hurt you if you are Memphis and you're trying to get in and buy for a playoff spot. So how do you respond? How resilient will you be after losing that game? Right, last game likely for Brendan Lewis, unless he plays obviously in the bowl game. But you want to finish the season strong, and you home, right? Navy has to come to you. Horvath has to come to you. So finishing the year strong, man. But I'm gonna go Navy. I love Horvath. I love what he's able to do, and I think they'll come out on top in this one. I'm gonna go a 28-21 victory for the Navy midshipmen. They come out on top and they win it. All right. That's going to do it for obviously all the previews and the game picks. That is it. All right. So we'll get into a couple Heisman candidates. For me, obviously, I would go number one, I think, Fernando Mendoza. He's had several moments this year. He's played at a high level. I like what he's been able to do. 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 2,600 yards passing. He's been elite so far this season, man, and had that moment against Penn State. So I think he deserves to be, in that conversation. So he deserves to be at the top, in my opinion. Number two, I would go Julian Sand. I like Julian Sand a lot. What he's done with Ohio State. Didn't have two of his biggest pieces. Everybody says, oh, well, he has NFL caliber talent. Didn't have Carnell Tate the past 3 games. Didn't have Jeremiah Smith the past, I think, 1 or 2 games. And he's continued to play at a high level, man. Absolutely lighting it up. 2,800 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, just 4 interceptions. He's my number two. My number three, I'm going to go with Marcel Reed. I mean, come on, last game, 30-3. You found some way somehow to win that game, throw 400 yards, lead your team back, and keep your undefeated record intact. Definitely got to go with obviously Miss Texas A&M and Marcel Reed and what he's been doing. Love, what he's doing. And I told you, he's like a baby Lamar to me. I think he could do a little bit of everything. He doesn't run the ball like Lamar, but he plays at a high level. So that's another player for me I really like. So he would be my number three. My number four, I'm going to go Gunnar Stockton. I like what he's been able to do for Georgia so far this year. Every game they've needed him, he's been performing at a high level so far this year. 3,000 passing yards on 19 touchdowns and third in QBR this year. He's been played really, really well. So he would be like my number, I think it's at number five. And that's I'm going to change my number two. I'm going to go number two, Jeremiah Love. Number three, Julian Sand. But Jeremiah Love, 200-yard rushing game so far this year. He's been elite. Deserves to be on top of that list. 1,300 yards rushing this year. 17 touchdowns, man. So he would actually be my number two. My number one, I had my rankings a little messed up. My number one would be Fernando Mendoza. Number two, Jeremiah Love. Number three, Julian Sand. Number four, Marcel Reed. Number five, Gunnar Stockton. And then I would go number six, Diego Pavia. I like what he's been able to do this year. He's been a big part of the offense, lead them to some big games. I want to see you win a big game, though. I want to see you win a big game. I want to see you beat a Tennessee this week. And then I might move you up. But number six, Diego Pavia. And last but not least, Ty Simpson. Tough loss against Oklahoma. Throws a little bit of a bad stain, for me. If he could turn around and win a big game on the road against Auburn in the Iron Bowl, he could help himself. They are 9-2, looking to finish strong, man. So that's a great game to do it, man. But that's going to do it for today's show. Appreciate y'all tuning in, man. Happy Thanksgiving. I see people came in and out throughout the show, man. So appreciate everybody tuning in. I know y'all can be with y'all families, but y'all decided to join me and obviously have a good time. Over 30 views, man. That's crazy on Thanksgiving to have 30 people in here. So shout out to y'all, man. Y'all amazing. Let me know more content y'all want to see, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.